build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers. I'm Manny.
Hello, I'm Colin. How you doing?
I'm good, Colin. I slept in, even with the clocks going
Extra
back.
hour.
Managed to sleep in for this. So
I'm
we're
just checking
recording.
my clock there to make sure I put it back. I did. So remember, everybody, put your clocks back if you're listening to this on Monday,
Aye,
Tuesday.
that's it.
Imagine by then.
If we've not found out yet.
Uh-huh.
Aye, it was pissing with rain, so the dog was up a couple of times through the night. I think that's why I slept in. Must have needed it. That's what I always go to when I have a long lie. Must have needed it. Anyway, how are you doing?
Do you? I good mate. I'm not long up as well. But do you trust your phone? You know, how it just automatically puts it back.
Aye, I watched it last night. The dog was up.
Oh, he's still up?
Enough. No, I had been sleeping, and he woke up. It was fucking lashing with rain, and the rain woke him up. But it was 3 minutes to 2, and so I just watched on my phone. How exciting is that? When it changed it, and it went.
It's like
It went 1:59. 1.
amazing. I wonder why.
Aye.
Like, would they like celebrate that like New Year? Like loads of people with
countdown.
fireworks. We've got like Jules Holland on the telly and that.
Well, you used to when you went to the clubs, mind that if you were out and they changed on the Saturday night, you'd be like, fuck it. Well, it was always the weekend, wasn't it?
It was always Saturday, yeah.
So you'd get the extra hour, and then later on in the year, or start next year, you'd be disappointed because you lost an hour of drinking.
That's right. That's right.
Because they never ever said, well, we'll just stay open an extra hour when the
Well,
clocks
it's
went forward.
licensing.
Aye.
Boring stuff like that. Yeah.
So, anyway, right.
Anyway, gives us content, eh? So that's us. We've done well there. It's filled the
2
show.
minutes in nearly. We've got there's a 0-0 to talk. But actually, it was a good 0-0 to talk about yesterday. I suppose probably the best place to start is the lineup. And Montgomery stuck with the 4-4-2. A lot of talk through the week about whether or not that was a good idea or not, whether he would or not, and also whether you could get a result or not playing 4-4-2. So I suppose, what did you make of all the chat and the run up to it before we start talking about the team lineup?
At risk of contradicting myself, because I can't remember what I said last week. I don't know if I said get rid of 4-4-2, but I definitely thought we could do with tightening it up a wee bit, and not have the 4 up front, and we could play one of the fast boys through the middle, which is what we did do. But tightening it up, we played Jair, didn't we? And Venti played quite deep, I thought. In that sort of extra midfielder role, which I was kind of saying maybe play it wouldn't be a 4-4-2 though, it's boring stuff. But it would, if you were playing an extra midfielder in that 10 role, but that's what Venti done. So if you're going to get him to like Shadow McGregor or whatever it was, I think he was doing, then that's fine. But you would think a midfielder could do that as effectively, but then you lose a bit of attacking, or you potentially lose a bit of attacking threat. I was all right. As you know, I was on the radio last night and I said that I think you play 8 or 9 of the players that are going to start now. And it's really just, is Rocky or Hanlon starting? And it is Deutsch, who wasn't even in the squad, so I assume he's injured, or Lafondre starting, but actually he's changed it a wee bit and played Boyle. So the surprise was Jair starting.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't care if they would be really that surprised, unless they expected him to rip up his values, which, back to the radio, Charlie Mulgrew, I thought, spoke quite well on it. They were talking about the pass backs and all that, but it applies the same. And you've mentioned it before as well, as a leader or a manager, and that if you change your philosophy, whatever the fucking word is you want to use, then the players are going to then start having doubts about it. So he's come in and went, this is the way we're playing, this is what we're doing. Now you can, within that, they two play deeper, or you do that. When we've not got the ball, you do this. When we've got the ball, you do that. All that boring chat that you can see on All or Nothing and that.
Yeah.
And Guardiola's fucking waving his arms about and stuff. All that boring stuff. But if a manager's to go, come on, we go fuck 4-5-1, or come on, did he pass it across the box? Because sometimes you might not be able to control it. Then when it actually matters, the player might go, he doesn't even fucking believe it.
Aye.
So I'm going to get the blame if I didn't do this right, or if so you need to kind of stick to your beliefs. And we're only 7, how many games has he had? 7? 8? Whatever it is he's been in charge for.
8, I think yesterday was his 8th.
So I thought Mulgrew didn't make that up, but he was right. I thought he was right. I thought, fucking hell, I've actually got a pundit on here that seems to be talking sense at last. But then maybe it's because he's fresher than the other cunts that they have on,
Maybe. I have to say, when I saw the lineup, I feared the worst. Right, I was expecting him to start a 4-4-2 formation. I didn't think he was going to change it, and I think I said last week as well that I don't think the formation itself is the issue. It's like players make a game rather than the formations. Like if you put good players in a bad formation, you can get away with it. You can still win. And good players in a bad formation, you can still win. But if you play a formation and your players don't turn up, it doesn't matter if they're good or not. You're going to lose, and that's what happened last week against Rangers. But this week, I think we absolutely turned up. But in my defence,
In your defence, why you fucking defend yourself? I'll defend you. You didn't defend yourself.
I'm not going to defend myself here because I'm going to admit to something. So before the game, I saw it and I was like, "Fuck's sake!" I was chatting to a couple of folk outside the ground, and I was saying like, if the lessons learned at Ibrox last week were that you keep Marshall, you drop Hanlon, and you bring in Tavares to play Celtic, then we're in fucking trouble. And that's like I honestly looked at the lineup and thought we're just asking for trouble here at the start of the game. And also, I did say there's been numerous times I've looked at a lineup and thought we're going to get murdered, and we've managed to dig out a result. So we're kind of hanging on to that being a possibility. But it actually, it turned out in Montgomery's defence, not mine, that he got it more or less spot on. I think.
Yeah, well, I bumped it, John, off the podcast outside the ground yesterday, and he mentioned, and hadn't really thought about. I'd thought about it on Friday because it was also mentioned to me on Friday that Celtic had the European game during the week, and I hadn't really thought about that might make them a bit leggy or a bit of a come down for them to, and it is still a hard game for them. It's still one of the bigger games that they play in Scotland, but to be the atmosphere they would have had, I didn't see the game during the week, but the atmosphere they had and the result they got and the apparent performance they had, then it's a bit, it's like that. It's not psychological. It's no they wouldn't deliberately do it, and they're professional players and they're good players, but it just is. It's just a good time to get them. It's just a good time to get any of them. Like after you, and that's why I was thinking, oh, Aberdeen, and that's good, especially after fucking bottling it and deflate. That must be deflating as fuck. That would be an ideal time to get them. I don't know. I doubt they'll have a game this week because we're playing Saturday, so they mustn't have a game this week in Europe. But it's still good because they're playing extra games and getting embarrassed and stuff. So it should be a time where we're trying to stretch away for them in third place as well.
Aye,
because they're in the playoff place, aren't they? Or they're down there, like they're below us.
Aberdeen.
Aberdeen down the bottom.
The league's mental, it's like nothing between the teams.
It's a point between third and ninth or something.
We went into yesterday's game in ninth, and we were 2 above Dundee and Ross County, who both had a game in hand on us. Right, now we moved up to 8th after the games. Aberdeen are in 10th. It's mental.
Tied with Ross County though.
Aye, and Aberdeen have got 2 games in hand on us. Ross County with a game in hand. We're on 10 points. They're on 9. So we're still at risk ourselves being in that playoff spot. It's why Tuesday's game.
We're also a point. We're also a point of 4th though. That's the flip side.
Yeah, everybody being bunched up like that.
It's almost crazy. Like we're looking at a league table after like 2 games. Like everybody's that close. It's like 10 games in and there's nothing between them.
Aye, St Mirren are flying away.
They're stretching it. They're taking advantage of how bad Hibs and Hearts have started, and Aberdeen struggling away as well.
I can't see them lasting though. That's famous last words, but they've got a big enough squad for it. But
it's one of them. You've got to tie that. You've got to pull them back. Though once you do go on your run, we're already 8 points behind them. Yeah,
it's a huge gap. Right, first half performance. Since we've got the lineup, first half performance. What did you think?
I thought we looked quite. I was just trying to watch sports scene to remind myself. I thought we looked alright, looked quite compact and that. I didn't think we really looked in any danger of losing a goal. I think we had a shot for distance. Did Marshall make a save in the first half? It was the second half he made his save.
First half he made. It was a funny one as well because he sort of fumbles the ball out. It's where everybody kind of. I think if he should have done better with the first, but I think he goes to collect the ball, spills it, and then he makes a great save at the feet of the striker.
Aye. It was second half he made a good save as well, though.
Aye.
But I thought they looked quite solid. I thought Rocky was fine yesterday. I thought he'd done all right. I thought he'd done quite well. I thought the whole defence played well over the whole game, not just the first half. I know you just asked about the first half, but I thought it was quite good. Well, good. It wasn't edge of the seat stuff, but I thought they were compact in that.
Aye. Well, the first shot on target of the game, we had it. It was Yuan for the edge of their box, but he could have played Inventi, which would have been a better option. But that was the first time either keeper had a save to make, and then Celtic's two best chances really came from us giving the ball away for these goal kicks. The first one, I think Rocky plays it. I think it was Rocky plays it right to the Celtic player, just takes a shot, fires it wide, and then Marshall plays it to Jeggo, and Jeggo slipped.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
And that's like, it's an unfortunate one because you think if Jeggo doesn't slip, we're probably all right in that moment. But when that happened, it was interesting about the goal kicks because when that happened, everybody like up in the stand around us was going enraged about it, and not just in our stand. Like when we got the goal kick next and we went to do it again, you could hear folk going fucking enraged about it. And they still did it a couple of times. We noticed in the second half we didn't do it so much, and that kind of goes back to what Mulgrew was saying. I was like, right, we did it to an extent, but you notice Marshall probably skipped out the first pass and just went wide to the fullbacks. His goal kicks after that, and we seemed to do a wee bit better then.
It would keep them thinking on their press and all that, I suppose. If you're not just going, it's pretty obvious if you're just going to one of the two, and you might be thinking, I think teams had done it a wee bit before it was famous and accepted that you would do this. You would knock it out to McGregor. Teams would leave McGregor free, so that was the option, and then they would press him because he wasn't as good as with the ball at his feet as the other defenders. And I think the two centre halves there were, it was a wee bit of a struggle, but there's different options. You just didn't keep doing the same thing all the time, Make a bit of variety. I think, but if you just chop it all together and say just launch it like the 1980s stuff, seen that clip during the week on Twitter. Did you see it? 1980s goal, he's just smashing it.
The ball, brilliant.
If you go back to that, then well, there's no variety there either. The centre half's just starting to go back. So,
do you think that'll ever come back?
Well, it'll come around. It always does. The 4-4-2's coming back now, so we're on this. We're on the steps. Aye.
It's a brilliant clip. What's great is like just the standard of gloves and that. I think some of the keepers didn't even have gloves in those videos. It's like proper olden times.
It's mad day that they never had gloves.
And just absolutely hammering it up the park, just a fuckle like every single time. Gosh,
I know.
That's what it used to be like. When Gorham scored
Just
a goal kick like that against Morton.
Just smash it up the middle.
Aye.
Not even like on the ankle or nothing. Just right straight in the middle.
Bring it back.
Even try to pick a winger out.
I wish should bring it back. Like just get into the goal kicks the way they are. Just have somebody get a goalie kind of chip it out to the centre half. He heads it back so the goalie's got it in his hands, and then just let him fuck it up the park. Have it like that. Right. So a couple of things to talk about then. So that were notable about the performance. You mentioned about Boyle playing through the middle. And that was probably the surprise when you saw Alf, or no Alf and no Doige, but you had Tavares, and you kind of could probably guess it was going to be Boyle or Yuan that was playing through the middle. There was actually some times in the first half where they were swapping. Boyle was wide and Tavares was through the middle. I can't remember Yuan going through the middle at any point. But we looked like we had potential to do something on the break, but we always kind of just like never quite made it.
It looked like the main tactic was I thought like at times they were just looking knock it over and see. There was a few times that I thought, they're just trying to chip and chase almost. But it never really came off. I think Celtic were all over that. I was just looking at the stats the other now. Like I didn't realise it was. I didn't try and guess the percentages of possession and that, but it was 71-29 in a home game.
Aye.
To them,
Well,
position wise, that's quite quite high, isn't it? For us, even I don't know what it's like against them normally, right enough, but it does feel like.
But do you know what I like in that too? Right, so see, last weekend we had a high, like the possession percentages, particularly the first half, were almost neck and neck. Right, Rangers had the better of the player by far, I would have said, right. But they let us have the ball in areas we were comfortable with.
Yeah,
they were comfortable with us having it.
Yeah.
And I think we did the same with Celtic yesterday. So we were like, they got so far and they couldn't break down, so they had to go backwards.
Mhm.
So I thought Celtic had a lot of the ball, but really, even until like the last 15 minutes of the game, I don't think they really properly threatened us. We
No,
were like,
when Forrest came on, I thought
aye,
Forrest actually made them look better.
and we made some changes as well at
Aye.
that point, and you're like, well, like that kind of contributed to it. Because my concern going in is I didn't think last weekend Yuan and Boyle gave Miller and Obita enough protection, and they were like
No.
constantly overloaded on the in the wide positions. And I was like, well, Tavares isn't going to give you that protection, but he did. Like Tavares, it has a funny performance. I know there's been some folks saying he was awful, some folks saying he was really good, and some folks saying he was all right.
I'm in the all right camp. I thought he'd done
Aye,
okay, but all right to like just better than all right, but no quite saying no raving about him.
aye.
But I wouldn't say he was rubbish. Like
No. I thought he impacted the game, which is what you want him to do. And I thought Montgomery did well after the game, pulling him out for praise and just making the point he's not played football for months and months and months, or like almost a year. Like Johnson never really played him at all.
no,
So he's almost had like a year out, and this is like effectively now his season of getting used to Scottish football because he's actually playing in games. It's like a year behind in his development where he could be. And I think even at the start of the season, he wasn't even playing development games for us. Like he was sort
he
of that
played
far
one,
off
didn't it?
it.
Trinent or something. And
Aye.
he wasn't even like that's where he was away playing. It was mad.
So to kind of back him to play in a game like that, and then come out after it and say like he had a good game. I thought that was good. It'll do the laddie a world of good. I didn't think he was like amazing. I didn't think he was terrible. I thought he had like you, but he was all right. He did his job in the game,
Yeah,
and that's all you can. That's not all you can ask, but that's like the minimum expectation in it in a game
yeah.
like that. And we had everybody doing their job, and that's why we got our result. Um, Special mention before we go to the talking points: the fullbacks, so Abita and Miller,
I thought
they,
they were
they were
excellent
outstanding.
yesterday. I thought the two of them were great. Yeah, I thought they
Well,
were the. I wasn't. I thought Miller would be man of the match, and they got. I know the sponsors one. Sometimes you go, fuck, they just want a photo, but that was actually a. I think that was the correct choice there. I think Abita was good as well. He was the one that put the best cross in, which is ironic because he's there to be a defender, but actually the best thing he done was create our best chance
that,
when Boyle was sliding in, which is where I come back to. Maybe he could play left midfield if we're trying to tighten it up a bit and have Stevenson back in because Stevenson would have probably handled Forrest better because Forrest never gets in,
nah,
rarely gets any change at Stevenson. But um, I thought the two of them were really good.
that ball in for Abita to Boyle was perfect. See, when he hit it, I see
That's
just
right
like a
above you, below you.
great view. I was like, fucking hell, what a pass
Uh,
that is! And
yeah.
Boyle was unlucky. Like he slid in. There's not much you can do about it. Like in the sports scene, were saying that he should have scored it, and
Oh, did they? I've not
ah.
got that far yet.
I think one of them said it was an easy chance. Another one was saying it's a
Who is
difficult
it?
chance.
Who's on like?
Simon Donnelly, and by the way, Simon Donnelly looks like he doesn't trust you when he's speaking.
I'm going to fast forward
It's
through and tell you who it is.
I can't remember Mikey Stewart
Oh, is it?
and Stephen Thompson. So I think Thompson. I can't remember who was saying it was defending Boyle, and another one was saying that I should score it. But I thought
Right.
when you're sliding in like that and catching it first time, you get something on it and hope for the best. It's like one of those.
Mm.
Anyway, right. Let's get to some talking points. We'll probably cover more as we go. Right, Stuart asked, did Colin have time to have his tea during the long gap between his segments on Sports Sound?
Tell me about it. That's what I said to you when I came off. There's too many pundits on that now. But see, when they started, I like that format of that show. I was sitting in the back of the car because I was on the way home. I was nipping up to my mum's after the game. Actually, I was sitting in the back. My wife was driving the car, and I was sitting just going, "Can I speak?" Almost, you know. But I like Tom English, I know it's controversial. And I thought I thought I actually didn't mind any of the pundits, but fuck, there's too many of them. They were all desperate to make sure they get their 50 quid's worth or whatever.
I thought you did well and enjoyed it. I tuned in on the way back. I thought you came across fine, but they didn't get up to a lot of time to
No,
speak.
I was on the phone for ages,
Mhm.
but you get asked a question and then they go and speak about it, and you're like, right, what
Aye.
you got me for? Like, you could have just done that.
Jeff Ashton said chalk and cheese from last week. Wingers worked their socks off defensively, which made us more solid. No failures. Miller deservedly man of the match. Crowd get more into the second half after a very good start. Need to beat Ross County on Tuesday. Happy Hibs. Colin made sense on the radio too.
That's good.
Aye. I pretty much
My
agree with
phone
all
did
of
go
that.
daft. I got a few texts
Did it?
in that, like, folk going, what the fuck are you doing on? They're sensible Hibs fans out there. Got all that kind of chat. Says, I'll pass your number on.
The crowd in the second half. It was funny. We were quite subdued in the first half. I thought that for a Celtic game, but there was. I think the referee never booked one of their players at the end of the first half
That's
for
right.
bringing
I
down
wiped to
Tavares.
Yeah.
And that was probably like the wee moment that got the crowd up. In the second half, I thought the crowd were much
He
better.
could have booked Kyle Go. Was it Kyle Go as well? He was running about. He lost the ball at one point and he wasn't happy with
He left
the
it
foul
out.
and he just went running about daft. And
I actually thought the referee handled the game pretty well. There was he could have booked a couple of Celtic players, and he wouldn't have complained about it. But I thought he'd try to let the game play. There was no decisions where I was fucking raging about like why are you doing that. I think he got all the. And it wasn't like the players made it easy for him. It wasn't like a hard game to referee or anything. But I actually thought he handled it well. There was no VAR involvement. I didn't think.
who was the ref? Was it a famous one? Oh, it would be a famous one, because you only get Celtic.
Yeah. Celtic. There was no often I'll sing a referee's praises, but I thought he did all right. Right, guys on Safari. Was it Alan Muir? You looking at it?
I'm trying to check it out. Aye.
Well, you
It
check
was
that.
Alan Muir.
Aye.
It was. We've had it before, He's been a nightmare before, but
Aye. He's been awful before, but he maybe doesn't like Celtic more than he doesn't like us, so we've
maybe
balanced it. Guys on Safari said, feared the worst pre-game, so delighted with a clean sheet and a point. Well done to Colin for not swearing on the radio.
Oh, good. That's good that they're all listening. Yeah,
Aye,
good.
aye, good. Get him tuned in. What did you think? Like, so we had a bit of chat on our WhatsApp about the lineup before the game. And obviously, I said what I thought about it, and there was a wee bit of chat about whether you should just let it play out and no have an opinion on it before.
Aye.
What do you think?
Oh, I think you're allowed an opinion on it. I just think you've got to be prepared to be wrong. Like we are on here. Like, that's the thing. If you're going to say something, you need to be able to go, no, it was wrong, eh? Like, rather than just like don't back down, double down, all that limmy stuff. Because that's what folk do, eh?
Well, I'm quite happy to say I was wrong for it. What's funny about it, right, is I would say 99% of the time when the team comes out, and I'll have a chat with folk I'm at the game with, and they'll go, oh, fuck's sake, and I'll be like, wait and see, you're the kid, like, the ball's not been kicked yet. It's very rare that I'll look at it and go, fuck's sake. I did on Saturday. I think the last time I properly looked at the team and went, fuck's sake, was when Lennon played all the defenders at Kelly.
Aye.
Again, and I was like, oh, that's fucking stupid. That. So I didn't do it very much, but I did do it yesterday, and I was wrong. Neil Waters said, learn from last week, defensively much better and a threat when we got the ball wide. Very disciplined performance without being brilliant, and worked tirelessly to stop them playing. Lots to be happy with and build on going forward. Jake?
Aye, they're the best team. They're the best team in the country by a mile, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't score. I bet there's not many teams they've not scored against this season.
St Johnstone and us, I think.
Oh, did St Johnstone get a draw with them as well?
I think they drew 0-0 at Parkhead.
Oh, it's a distant memory for them, eh?
Aye.
They're fucking. They're already preparing for the championship.
Did you hear their manager on the radio?
I've seen the sentence, the headline rather than all it. I think it was. You'll be lucky somebody will get picked next week. I've seen somebody reply. It was Graham Spears actually says, I think you'll be lucky to get to pick another team. I think it'll be more rather than the other way around.
I think that's probably how it will go. That tends to be what happens in football. Even at St Johnstone, who are like sort of well known for sticking by their managers. So
but that was one of the panic ones, eh? We were like, that was the thing at the time. We'll just appoint somebody that's already here, Barry Robson, Naismith. You know what I mean?
Has McLean got his badges?
Don't know. No idea. They wouldn't matter. They're not going to be anywhere near Europe anyway. So you don't need to bother about
it. Vince Robinson said, stout defence. Jair must be worldly in training, trying too hard and not much coming off for him.
He must be doing something right in training. Like I was speaking to the boy Neil that sits in front of me, or used to sit in front of him, but sitting where I was doesn't matter, right? Anyway, and that's what we're saying. He must be like he must do something in training that's impressed him
Mhm.
because like he was way out the picture, and as soon as they come back in, they went straight back in. And no, that he's not just on the bench; he's starting games against
Mm.
Celtic, so
I
he
think,
must be doing something in training.
I think he's definitely kind of grasped the everybody's got a clean slate,
Yeah,
and I think it helps. He's got somebody that speaks Portuguese at the club as well,
mm.
because you can even imagine just him sitting down and saying, "What's happened? Like, can you been here a year? What's the script?" And being able to actually explain it
Aye,
fluently with
and
somebody who
aye,
understands, who kens your background at Benfica and that, they're probably going, "Fuck's sake!" Like,
yeah,
like I ken it because I'll get folk that I used to manage that will phone me up and say, "Oh, fucking, what my manager's doing this? What do you think?" And I'll
aye,
be like, "Ah, well, here's maybe where they're coming from," and
uh-huh,
or I'll go, "Fuck's sake, this is how to
aye,
handle that situation."
yeah,
So it's maybe just been a case of they've gone, "That's your fault that he's not been playing well. No, his fault. Let's give him a
uh-huh.
shot." And then he's taking advantage of it because they obviously rate him like ahead of like Josh Campbell
Aye,
as
that's
well.
right.
Because Josh Campbell under Johnson would have played yesterday, I think, because his energy and his
He would have played in right midfield even as
aye.
well. Or, like it wouldn't have even been. He would have played him out of position ahead of him.
Mhm. But Campbell's not had a sniff yet under
Uh,
Montgomery. Right, Neil Vale said, fantastic defensive performance, obvious lessons learned from last week. Manager, obviously, tactically aware of what didn't work last week. Loved his interview after the game too. Last week protected players, this week took responsibility that we didn't get it right. He will do for me.
Aye, I agree. Neil will see you next week. I can come on your bus.
Oh, nice one. Um, I think that's important for the players as well, that the manager goes out and does protect them and then does take responsibility. I liked his like his comments through the week with Montgomery about that's like I believe in how we're going to play, and I'm not going to change it. I
Yeah.
think that goes back to the point that you were making again at Charlie Mulgrew had reiterated that if you're going to do something, you need to stand by it if you want to be credible.
Mhm.
And he's doing it, and clearly
You've
the
said it
players,
before.
aye,
Like Charlie McGrew's not saying anything that you've not said on here. You said it probably last year about Johnson and that, or maybe even before.
mm,
The manager before that. Like you need to, if you start going, well, this is what I want to do. Like Lennon done it, and we're not having a Lennon
tiny,
here, but
yeah,
we had that great midfield and strikers that were brilliant. They were scoring 5 against Kilmarnock and all that, and then you go to Tynecastle and you go, nah, we're scrapping that.
put the big
And
boys in,
like and aye, and the players must have thought, oh, we're fucking flying.
aye,
You lose the momentum. You put doubt in their mind. You know, so aye, and there's tweaks you can do within it. Aye, was it Tam McManus that was saying 4-4-2 got an doing and all that. He must know. You just
aye,
change ask them to defend more, or like what the fuck.
aye,
And
play a bit deeper, or
it wasn't to do with where they were standing on the pitch. It was to do with how hard they were working. Or I tried not to say they weren't hard enough last week, but I think it was
mm,
like they weren't hard enough, or they were overawed, or something, because they were miles off it compared to yesterday.
aye. I think it's the so I don't think it's like they're consciously not working hard, but it's that
Aye,
bravery. I think, like you mentioned, a overawed there. And I think that's probably right. They go to
uh,
Ibrox and they sort of were like rabbits in the headlights. And you need players in these games to be braver, like and play like they would on the ball, like they do when they play other
yeah,
games that they're no scared of the opposition.
yeah.
Um, right, Whiskey Craig said, "Get pumped by Rangers. Hibs were embarrassing and should be better. Get well earned point or Celtic. Celtic were atrocious and had a European hangover. Got to love the pundits.
Yeah,
It's funny how these things get viewed. Like,
it's always about them.
aye,
It's not
um,
about us. We're just there as fodder. Like,
aye." WTC 1981 said a couple of things to check with you, and it's okay if you don't know. Was Kyogo actually playing today? And was there any sectarian chanting? Other than that, Hibs were well worth the point.
it was because he should have got booked.
Aye,
But, aye, it is him. And I didn't care because I can't make the words out of the sing. It's just a noise to me. I think the Rangers fans are a lot clearer in their words
aye,
without getting into any. Didn't clip that, and I'm not saying it's good words or anything like that. I'm just saying I can hear their words. Celtic fans, it's just
it's just a noise.
a noise. Aye.
Aye,
And I was sitting near them, like, and I sat near that and last season as well. And No idea if it's sectarian or not. You never again you hear IRA getting mentioned, but I don't know if that's sectarian or political. That would be the argument there.
Aye, I think
So I don't know. No idea. No idea. It's just a noise.
there was a bit of chat about them all sort of forcing their way through the barriers as well, or the turnstiles. I definitely think the away end looked overpopulated, didn't it?
I bet that's because but it's the same with Hearts and Rangers. I think it's because they'll just go and stand where they want. There'll be
Aye,
bits that are probably emptier. It's that, but it's the same when we go to Tynecastle. You were talking about going to Tynecastle and how early you were there, and it was still a nightmare to get in.
aye,
It's just how the police set it up. It's because police treat football fans like shite, isn't it?
aye.
And there's probably not enough turnstiles at your away end, but then it's like that at most of the ends, isn't it? So I don't think it's Hibs' fault. I don't think it's Celtic fans' fault because they've stormed it. However, I can kind of you get the frustrations like outside when you want to get in and that, and you're looking at the clock thinking, how the fuck am I going to get in for the start of this game and that?
Aye.
But it's the way the police set it up.
They should do better than that. Like all clubs should be doing better for away fans, I think.
Yep.
Right, Neil Boyle said, Rocky, if given time to develop, could become a top player for us. Until he signed for us, he had played around 50 professional games. Hopefully Montgomery can get more out of him. So the Rocky one's an interesting thing. I don't know if you saw, well, you might have, because it was shared in a group, like his brother got involved in a bit of a spat
Aye.
on Twitter about Hanlon starting above or ahead of Rocky, and Rocky's brother had pretty much said, what's the stats like then? And the boy and JD Hibs pulled out stats that pretty much had Hanlon ahead of Rocky in almost every single metric, like every single one. Which is a bit of a sort of like, okay, shows
Big
you
clamp.
medals. Here you go, fucking boom.
Hugh Clamp, pal.
Aye. I fair play him for sticking up for his brother, but it definitely would have backfired. But Montgomery's obviously seen something with him because he's trusting him in the games. And this point about the news making about him only playing 50 professional games, is it just a case of like he's almost raw potential now, and we need to, like, if he's going to make it at Hibs, we need to be a bit patient with him and let him do it?
Possibly. What age is he?
22, is he? 23?
22. She's because he's a big. He's 23. He's actually 24 this month.
All right.
So it's getting to the stage where you go, is it still potential at that age? You know what I mean? I know you can still develop and all that, but like generally, like he's older than Porteous.
There's I'll quote Indiana Jones here, right? Where he says it's not the years, it's the mileage, right? So here it's no the Rocky's age, it's the number of games he's got at that age that's the issue. So if he was 24 and he'd been like Porteous and been in the first team since he was 19, then you've got a fair point. But if he's only just breaking into first team football now at 24, there's still a bit of developing to do, I would suggest.
Aye. He's right about the stats. I'm just adding up. 56 games, I think, before he came to us.
Right. So no.
And he's now played 32 since he's been here as well. So.
Right. So even
he's nearly played 100 games. Aye. He'll play 100 games this season. Click over to 100 this season. I don't know. I don't mind him. I think he can be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's walking about making mistakes all the time. I think just now and again he does, and that's what you want us to learn for that, I suppose. But it's still at 20 to 24, I think you're getting to the stage where you should be. When you're 24, you should be a first team regular, like because that's the point where he would fit into that other bracket at fucking what was the Johnson brackets? The ages he'd fit in. He wouldn't even be in the youngster bracket there.
No, he'd be in like the second basket.
Aye, so Aye, so it's like when the drivers it's like if you pass your test when you're 30, the insurance companies class you as a inexperienced driver, and that's probably as an inexperienced footballer, because he's older, but he's not played 100 games yet. I don't know. I don't mind him. I know folk make that. It's like we've got 4 or 5 players, Jago, Rocky, Jair, Campbell, even Hanlon and that. There's folk that back and support like no matter what,
Aye.
or say they're shite no matter what. And it's almost like can you keep your mind open a wee bit and like see if they're got to be in it? Like, do we need to fucking go and sort of hang on it now? Like,
Aye.
can we wait and see? And I'm in that wait and see camp with Rocky. I'm not quite sure. I don't mind him. I think he's a big chunky laddie, like, so he's the potential of that, but he's 24.
Aye.
So
I
don't
thought he
think
did
it goes
well. Like
against him.
he nearly cost us a goal with that pass for the goal kick that he gave away possession straight away. Which, you know, if that had gone in, everybody would. I think we would be getting tweets about
Yeah.
how well he was doing. Folk would be complaining, but he did get away with it. And I thought his overall performance yesterday was really solid. And Kyogo never got a sniff at him. Really, Rocky just frustrated him to the point that Kyogo tried to kick him.
Aye.
You know.
Aye. Yeah. Which is always a good sign, eh?
By the way, Obita had a good kick at Maeda off the ball. I didn't know if you
Nah, I
saw
didn't
that. It
realise.
would have been second half. They'd had like a wee bit of tussle on the left hand side, and then Celtic get possession. They're heading back, and just as they're running, Obita just fucking booted him.
Did they?
I just booted him, sent him flying, and then carried on. And I was like, "Fucking hell!" He's like one of these ones. Go, I might get pulled back because I wasn't sure if the referee had clocked it. I was like, well, if the
Now, could it be
referee's
a
not
VAR
clocked it,
thing,
the
like?
VR might see it. But no, thankfully, it never
Because
got
it would only be a
mentioned.
red card, they could do it the way. So maybe it didn't think it
Ah,
was
right
bad
enough.
enough.
Aye, no, so it wouldn't have been a red. It would have been kind of. Although you have to say, if you're kicking somebody off the ball, even if
Well,
it's
that's
not a
what I
hard
was
kick,
wondering how vicious it was. Aye.
that has to be deemed as excessive force. I've made that point before. Like you can't, you've no reason to kick somebody.
Aye, if
It's
there wasn't,
excessive
then yeah.
force. Aye. But anyway, well done, Abita. You got away with it, and we'll take that
Aye.
kid
For
off.
now, hopefully
Off. Aye,
they're not listening. Crawford Allen's not listening
aye.
to this.
It was in a different game if you had Crawford Allen. It was in a different game 4 years ago when Abita wasn't here. But another boy did it. It was at my grand's house. AKA Rab, his point is I like turtles.
Right.
That's good.
Somebody have his phone jack.
Maybe. I wonder if it's actual turtles or the Teenage Mutant Ninja variety. Or both.
Interesting.
Maybe like both.
Interesting to hear.
Aye.
AKA Rab, if you want to let us know.
Yeah, update us. Leon, I couldn't think of a funny surname from him off the top of my head. Very, very
Rice
quickly there.
cakes. Was it
Leon
no rice cakes last week?
Red Sox, I think I went for.
Red Sox.
Well, let's go Redpath. Leon Redpath said, I thought Hibs matched up really well. Would anyone watching last season's side think a side with Jair, Rocky, and Jego would get a positive result against a Celtic side chasing a title? There was a lot of grumbles online about the starting 11. The manager proved a lot of people wrong. Proved me wrong, Leon. As I've said earlier, quite happy to admit that. Would you have thought a team with Jair, Rocky, and Jego would have got a result against Celtic? Well,
To be honest, I was probably struggling. I think any team we could put out might have been struggling to get a result against Celtic. We spoke about it before, but I think the circumstance was quite good for us in that they had that tough game midweek and all that. So they're miles ahead, eh? Like their squad. Look at that. They had like 3-4 subs on before we brought a sub on, like, and it was like decent. The players that would play for us that were coming on.
Mm-hmm.
First team picks.
Aye, straight into our team. Do not pass go.
Yeah.
I've already said I didn't think we would get a result, so I'm happy to eat humble pie with that one. Paul said regarding Johnson's head injury, why wasn't he told to leave the pitch to receive treatment? Was that because it was a head injury and did the official stop the game for too long? Surely. I think they should have taken him off the pitch. Like
head knock's a funny one, eh?
Aye, all together. So you didn't move them, obviously, when they're with a head knock. I think that's like pretty basic safety stuff, isn't it? Like you wait and see how they are first.
Yeah.
But I was amazed he was allowed to play on for like.
And he had to say, "I'm not right." Like that's what happened in the end. Eh? He just went, "Fucking hell."
Richard Harkis messaged me through the game he was watching in Vietnam. Messaged me and said that's crazy that he was allowed to play on. And he says in America, there's a club, a match doctor, so no affiliated to either of the clubs, and they make the decision on things like that. So they'll go and say,
I said that to you before, and yeah, I agree with that.
I think it's a really good idea because there's no way like I watched it on Sports Scene. So at the time I was like, oh yeah, fucker, that looked bad. You see it on Sports Scene and it's full force flush in the face for the centimeters away from him. Really, Ken. It's no balls will travel in the distance to smack him, and he's clearly all right. And it's almost like negligent of the Celtic medical staff to let him play.
Well, it's football needs to sort themselves out on that front. It doesn't matter. They care. And actually, we've got Ross County on Tuesday night. If they get a goal, or if they're 0-0, they're centre half's going to be fondling every time they head of the ball
Aye,
and playing the system like
which doesn't help things, does it?
no.
Darren Neal said, thought we played well today, stuck together as a team, and as the game went on, grew more confidence and had chances to go in front. Resilient at the back towards the end, but until then we kept them quiet. When does Kyogo Maeda ever be kept that quiet and hooked off? We deserved it. He's right, Darren, about the Celtic forwards. They never got a sniff all game.
And yes, as we said, they showed their frustration, eh?
Aye. And that's absolute credit to the way the team played. Ryan Lyle said Jair still to convince me, but was disciplined in his role today. Also stopped Taylor coming forward. Again, that's a good point, because you mentioned about Vente and McGregor, but I think Jair did do a number on Taylor as well. It was good. It was like tactically very, very well played for the team yesterday, and sort of nullifying Celtic's threats. I suppose the next step is then just how do you evolve that to take advantage of our threats and get more chances our way.
Yeah.
David O'Rourke said, I really like the balance today throughout the team, but would like to see Levitt in the starting 11. How do we fit him in without playing with 12 players?
Oh, it'd have to be one of the midfielders go.
Mm-hmm. Who?
Well, it was nearly Joe Newell at one point because he went down, and I thought, is that injury we've been hearing about? But they obviously managed to play on. Hopefully, he's okay for next Saturday. He might find that he doesn't play Tuesday though.
Maybe give him that rest.
Based on that, yeah. But if he's carrying something, and he's to that extent.
I really like Levitt. I watched through the week when we were getting the work done. I can't remember if I spoke about this already. I think I did on WhatsApp. I watched the second half of the Luzerne game at Easter Road just because it was on my Sky plan and I was looking for something to watch. Levitt and Newell played in a 4-4-2 in that game as the two centre midfielders, and they were fucking terrific. And Levitt did a ton of defensive work. I think everybody kind of says he should be playing as a 10, but actually he played almost box to box, but he was outstanding. He could definitely play instead of Jago, or you could play him instead of Newell. I think Newell gives you more because he's got that experience and a bit more physicality. But I would.
I was going to say the other place he could play is I think we're in a wee half second delay. Is if you play Vente up front and you play him in that role Vente was playing yesterday, maybe would be another one. But then you would argue is that a 4-4-2 then, I suppose, and you get all that conversation going. But it would give you the extra man in midfield.
Aye, but it's good to see him making appearances. I think it won't be long before he sort of cements a starting place. I really high hopes for Dylan Levitt. I think Charlie McGrew was talking about on the radio yesterday as well, talking about how good a footballer he is. Mike Hay said, unspectacular but solid and much improved all round from the last season. From the last effort. Fully deserved a point. Totally agree. Peds said, when is Jimmy Jago going to start getting the recognition his performances deserve?
We're talking about him every week. Like, it's because he's one of the ones that I mentioned that you get folk telling us how good he is when he has a good game, and folk telling us how shite he is when he has a shite game. He's decent. He gets the recognition when he has a good game, and he had a good game yesterday.
Ryan Lyle again said, better all over the park today, much the same setup as last week, but the players delivered this week. Jago does the work that goes unseen. Defending was excellent, playing out from the back, scary at times, but brave. Overall, good performance. So on Jago, second half, I mentioned to Josh, I'd hardly seen him in the game. I was like, he's hardly seen him. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. So he's obviously doing what he needs to be doing because whoever he's up against, I've not seen them either. And that's kind of what you're wanting from him. I think Jago was good yesterday and thought.
McGregor normally runs the games. I think McGregor's a cracking player. And yesterday I thought he was quite quiet, and I was giving Vente the credit, but obviously Jago and Newell will be involved in that as well.
Aye. Jeff Ashton says, did everyone else think, oh fuck no, when Super Joe went down in the first half?
Aye, a wee bit.
It was one of these because nobody was near him. It wasn't like a challenge. He just went down
That's
and
what I
like,
thought, and that's what I was
"Ah."
saying. I thought, this must be his old injury here that he's carrying, because we were all looking about around the bass thinking, what happened there? Try to blame somebody.
Hy-Vee Steph said, thought we were in for a doing. I'm relieved. Miller immense and a beat a close second for man of the match for me. Agreed.
I think so, yeah.
Jez said, bit late, but credit where it's due. Marshall made some great saves today and seemed more committed to getting in the way of the ball. His save to his top right corner looked incredible in real time. I felt we played well and done the job. What do you think? Marshall got a lot of criticism last week. Happy with him yesterday?
Aye, he was yesterday. His distribution wasn't brilliant at times, but he did make a couple of good saves, which is what I prioritise.
Yeah. Stuart said we defended very well. Agreed. Ellis said, barring any injuries, that's surely got to be our starting back four every week. I reckon.
Well, they done that well yesterday. You'd be hard pressed to say any of them should be out, but I feel like Hanlon and Rocky are in a rotation.
Aye, it's a fun. We spoke about it in extra time, didn't we? About the need to have sort of consistency at back four. So
Yeah.
I think you maybe get to a point where you go, right, that's it, and they'll take an injury or a suspension to take somebody out.
Yeah.
No Clue Da said, has Lewis Miller let that boy Palmer out of his pocket yet? I don't think so. I think he'll be emptying him out when he's taking his keys and that out at the end of the night.
Squeezing his shorts off.
Aye. Albert Street said Rogers blaming fatigue. Can't he just admit we matched him in every area of the pitch?
I don't know if he had to blame fatigue on the radio. I heard anyway. He actually the comment he made was, "We've been to every hard ground in the stadium in the league," and I thought, well, you've been to half the grounds.
Aye.
You've not. So I don't know if they've been at Aberdeen or Ibrox yet. But unless he's just been in there enough, there's no hard grounds.
The old firm one was at Ibrox.
Was that Ibrox as well? Was it? So it was. So they've been to Ibrox, Tynecastle, and Easter Road. That is
Aye. They got because we did open goal for them at the start of the season, and I think it was Andy Halliday had said Rangers need to be like if they're going to do anything this season, they need to be at the top of the league at the end of the first run of fixtures, because Celtic have got to go to Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen, and Rangers.
And Rangers have been at, who's not easy, by the way.
And Rangers have got all those games at home in the first run of fixtures, so you would think Rangers have got the advantage. So
they've been away to Aberdeen and all.
Aye.
Fucking hell.
It's mental, eh? So that you would think low averages, like come the second round of fixtures, Celtic have probably stretched that gap again.
Yeah.
Right, Scott Patterson said, we've only got a couple more comments, we're almost at the time, right? So Scott Patterson said, as solid defensively as I've seen us in ages, although did bring some problems on ourselves first half with the passing out. Dug in late in the second half, bodies on the line, so desperate for Jair to show me that he's a player, and I saw glimpses for the first time today. I was so happy to get a clean sheet yesterday. Like, it's like an obvious thing to say, but it's been our Achilles heel. Like, we have got the worst defensive record in the league. Maybe St Johnstone, with conceding 4 yesterday, overtook us. So to play the champions and no let them score was fantastic.
Yeah.
Adam Driver said a bit boring, but entirely necessary. Brian Ross said tactics were bang on, and Jack Reacher said we were terrific today. Not easy to frustrate Celtic. We took 2 points off them today, which is not bad after the Rangers result. Totally agreed. Like Gibby the Hibby said, these goal kicks are suicide. We got away with it twice today. Ellie, Yuan, look up for fuck's sake. Jair Tavares is never a football player. Marshall with a couple of good saves. Rocky not scared to be using his body. And Lewis Miller was his usual self. Solid. And Chris Kidd last month said, still didn't get Yuan. Not sure if he's worth 8 to 9 minutes of slack passing or bad passing when he does, and constantly jibbing tackles. I thought Yuan had a good game yesterday.
He was all right. He was all right. He didn't do... He was decent. I can't get much he done. He didn't do much wrong, but I think he didn't much, create much threat either. But he's a threat. Like he keeps folk on their toes as much as he didn't threaten anybody really yesterday, I think.
Aye. Right, last minute, we're just going to go and record extra time in a second, where we're going to preview the semi-final against Aberdeen next weekend. It's just before we go that, one message on the goal kicks for Craig Montgomery. He said the best bit about the goal kicks is watching the sort of folk that need years of anger management lose their shit over it. I tell you what, it does raise a few folks' blood pressure, doesn't it? Like,
I pay my money, I can say what I want, right?
without a doubt. Right, Tuesday night, Colin. Before we play Aberdeen, we've got Ross County. How do you see that one going?
I think we've got to win that. Like, we've got to start winning these games. Like, they're the ones we've got to win, the bottom six, if you want to call it that. Games we've got to beat them. So I think 3-0.
3-0 Hibs.
Yeah.
Well, they just went to they get a 3-3 with Motherwell yesterday,
Aye.
and I think Motherwell were kind of quite fortunate, I think, to get back into the game because it should have been tied up. But I got to fancy like it's a sad day if we didn't fancy us to win at home to Ross County, although they turned us over last time. But I'll go 2-0 Hibs, comfortable win. Okay, thanks for tuning in. If you don't subscribe, please do. You can go to our Twitter and find the link there. We will be putting the podcast onto Patreon as well soon, so watch out for some news on that. So I'll give you a different option to subscribe. So it's £3 a month, and you get all the extra content. So like we were talking about there, the preview for the Aberdeen game is this week's episode, exclusive for subscribers. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all your talking points, and we will see you next time.
County line, I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.